Hi, I am Tony Russo, and this is In Case You Missed It from Kates-Boylston for the week ending Friday, October 24th, 2025. Lots of cool stuff coming up this week, including a look at some moves at Batesville, and earnings season is just over the horizon. But before that, I want to talk to you about some stuff that's going to be going on in FSI, the newsletter. But before that, I would like you to listen to this message from our friends at Matthews Aurora.
For more than 20 years, Matthews Aurora Funeral Solutions has been providing innovative technology to support funeral professionals and their families. Their Arranger presentation system makes showcasing service and merchandise options simple. Family Connections technology enables families to participate in arrangement planning from the comfort of home. And the Advisor system combines case management and interactive planning, all in one place. Simplify the arrangement process with technology designed for you. Visit MatthewsAurora.com for a free demo or call 1-800-457-111 today. That's MatthewsAurora.com or 1-800-457-1111. Call today.
So before we get started, I want to kind of tease what's going on next week in Funeral Service Insider, the podcast. We have a guest. His name is Desiree Wilson. He is trying to become a funeral director in Texas, but has run afoul of the Texas Funeral Service Commission. And it is a bananas tale of intrigue and missteps. And it's a really, really interesting story. And it's one of those frustrating ones where, people are being blocked because they can be blocked, which is always, disappointing. And as you know, we've been reporting for the last forever about the Texas Funeral Service Commission and its discontents. So this kind of all wraps up with that. But anyway, the reason I wanted to bring that up was because in addition to the interview being on Monday, the 27th, in the 30th edition, we have some more details that I've done some independent reporting on. So the story is a little bit more detailed and solves some of the riddles that are raised in the interview. So if you're a subscriber, that is good news for you. And if you're not a subscriber, it's a great opportunity. I would also like to let you know that in November, Funeral Service Insider, the newsletter, will be free. So you can see all of the stories that we do. It should be a pretty good month. I've got, obviously, earnings season is on the way, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a second. And beyond earnings season, there's a story that I'm working on about INELDA, which is the International End of Life Doula Association, and how that is working its way into a position where I think that they will work better with one another and with funeral service in general. And we talk a little bit about the kind of future of that partnership in the story and also in a subsequent podcast. The other thing that I want to bring up is Carriage, and SCI and Matthews as well will all be reporting their earnings, as I mentioned. It'll be really interesting to see Carriage's, because Carriage had the same dividend that it has been supporting the entire time, which is, I believe, 11 cents per share. And after it issued the announcement, the stock didn't take a hit, but it, worked its way down a little tiny bit. And I wondered whether that had anything to do with the fact that with all of their good news, that the dividend stayed the same. And I think that they'll address that in the earnings call. And what I'm wondering is what that says about 2026 and how the outlet looks, what the outlook, what the outlook is for that first quarter because of course nobody wants to raise the dividend and then dial it back. That's the thing that people like about dividends, is that they're reliable. And I think one of the things that has made Carriage able to kind of weather the last couple years of difficulties has been their ability to establish this dividend and then pay it every quarter. So it'll be interesting to see that. Anyway, the newsletter will be free in November. We've got lots of great stories coming up in November, and also lots of great stories to talk about. And next, we're going to talk about Batesville and its sale of a piece of software. So we reported several weeks ago that Batesville had sold its web hosting business to Tukios. And when I did the story on that, they said that they had, another announcement that they would be making soon. And recently they have made that announcement, and it is that they have sold their MIS business to Plotbox. And so I reached out to Batesville to see if I could get a little bit more detail, because, on the face of it, they're divesting all of these software programs, but it makes sense for this reason. MIS includes management of large cemeteries that's like what it's mostly for. And Batesville is very proud of its Halcyon product, which is a management product that it purchased and has been developing. And that's this. I wrote a story about the folks at Halcyon and all of the things that they're doing at Batesville. And as it turns out, you only need so many management software pieces to provide your customers, whereas Plotbox, would benefit from a extensive cemetery management software piece. A lot of times, especially with software, having the one or two proprietary things that you don't have, even as a big, cemetery company like Plotbox, is worth it sometimes. So it was interesting to see that transaction. And as I said, Batesville responded with their focus is on their funeral homes and crematories and running the small to mid-range independents and helping them when they can. And the cemetery management was just more than they needed, and Halcyon does everything that they need it to do. And more important, I think Halcyon does everything that their customers needed to do. So if you haven't seen that, there's a link to the dual press releases in the show notes. Forest Lawn Covina Hills in Los Angeles County is being sued by a family for presenting the wrong body at the wrong time, as it turns out. And that's not really what this is about. I'm going to give you the bare bones details, because this is really hopefully starting a different conversation. But two things happened. The first thing was they weren't able to find the body quickly, and they said there was a scheduling mistake and the body was in the wrong place at the wrong time. One of the people in the family got so upset that they had a heart attack and had to be taken to the hospital. And so that sets the scene for what ensued. And what ensued was, I'm not making any judgments here at all, because this has never happened to me and I would never have to deal with this. But the funeral home offered the family, $200 in compensation for their inconvenience. And it was a $20,000 funeral. This is where the conversation, I think, can start, because I am ignorant of this, and I think it's something that we don't really talk about a lot, because it's, nobody likes to see anything go wrong. Certainly nobody likes to give money back, and it's not because no one wants to give money back. It's because, how do you put a price on that? Like, forced to put a price on messing up someone's funeral, I would not be able to. And that is, it's as simple as that. I I know that when things have gone wrong at funerals I've attended, it's usually been, attendee related, and that attendee is ostracized from the rest of the family forever. I've been fortunate to never have had a trouble at a funeral where the funeral home was at fault. But this is on paper a 1% refund on the funeral, and so it feels like is getting the right body in the right place 1% of the work that it takes. Like, that's the wrong way to think about it, and I understand that that's the wrong way to think about it. I'm just curious what the right way to think about it is. And the thing that's not reported in the story is the amount of an expedience of the contrition and how the family was made to feel following the mistake. And I'm not saying that they weren't made to feel assured, but I am saying that after being spoken with by the funeral home and after being offered $200, they decided to go get lawyers. So my question to you is, and I genuinely would like to have this answered, and please, again, you can send me an email privately and I will keep it private and just know, or I can tell everyone that you sent me an email and this is what you think. Just tell me what to do in the email and that's what I'll do. And I have been appreciating the anonymous feedback that I've been getting from the past couple episodes. But what is there a good way to handle this? And or is it sometimes a family is just so upset that literally are inconsolable, and you just do the best and get ready for the brunt of whatever follows. So please email me. You can email me at the bottom of this post or by clicking a link to the show notes, arusso@kbpublications.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So this is literal breaking news that just popped onto my feed when I was checking for my next story that I wanted to share. And it is that Jon Lefrandt, who was the founder of DomaniCare, which he sold to homesteaders and was renamed Alevia, is no longer with the company. And that's all I have to say about that. But he has started a newsletter called Here's the Lesson on LinkedIn. And it's the first of, I guess, what he has learned through his process. So I figured I'd share that because I know that there are people who are interested and curious about what's going on. He's around and people I think know him. I've always, enjoyed his company. I've always enjoyed his talks. So if you'd like to catch his newsletter, his is free and it is on LinkedIn and it is called Here's the Lesson. And he published his first article at about 7 o'clock on 6 o'clock Eastern time on the 23rd of October. And it's a fun little story. I'm looking forward to seeing what else he has to share and offer. And I will put a link to his newsletter in the show notes. I've mentioned before that if you'd like to get a sneak preview of some of the stories that I'll be talking about, I post almost all of them on LinkedIn throughout the week. Whenever I see something that I think funeral directors or death care professionals in general may want to discuss or may need to know about, I share it on LinkedIn, and then I choose the stories for this show from those posts. And this one I wanted to talk about, again, kind of both in abstraction and specifically. It is a story on the Department of Regulated Agencies, which is a department in Colorado that is in charge of doing all the inspections for all of the things. And they have about 60 different industries that they are responsible to regulate. The funeral industry is one of the newest. And this, one of their earliest inspections, was the one that revealed that a funeral director had been hiding bodies in his funeral home. He and his brother had been hiding bodies in the funeral home for a while. The former coroner in Pueblo County. I think you'll recall that story from a couple of weeks ago. But one of the things that the regulators said, the word that he used, which I love and will repeat, and hopefully you will love it and also repeat it, is the lack of regulations has caused a normalization of deviance. And that is a loaded, jargony phrase if ever one was heard. The way that he explained it is he said speeding is a normalization of deviance. So everyone just goes 5 miles over the speed limit, even though the speed limit is posted, because no one believes in the real speed limit. I think Dave Barry used to call out the national pretend speed limit. And, he said 10 miles over is, people just go 10 for a while because the same thing. People they're used to breaking this law, so they continue to break it. I am a little suspicious that that's what is or was going on in Colorado. I think that this industry, and I think this sets it apart, there are going to be bad actors and there's going to be bad luck. But I don't know how much testing the laws is going on, or hoping that one doesn't get caught is going on. And that'll do me for this week. In case you missed it, From Kates-Boylston is a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me and videoed by me, Tony Russo. Please subscribe wherever you're listening. Now, if you have any feedback at all, I would love to have it. I appreciate the anonymous ones I get, or the ones I get that I keep anonymous. But if you would like me to share your opinion with your fellow listeners, just let me know that you would like it read on the air, and I'd be happy to read it on the air. If you don't tell me explicitly to read it on the air, I will assume that you do not want it read on the air. That is really it for this week. Enjoy yourselves at National Funeral Directors Association if you're going, and enjoy the office quiet if you're not. And I will check in with you next time.